The rain had just started falling when Daniel stepped out of his office building. It was a quiet Thursday evening, and he intended only to grab a coffee before heading back home. Life, for the past 8 months, had been an odd mixture of silence and noise for him. Silence in his apartment where laughter used to echo, and noise inside his own mind that never let him rest. Divorce had not been the ending he wanted, but the one he thought inevitable. As he strolled down the busy street, his thoughts kept circling the same memories: Emily's smile, the warmth of her touch, the way her eyes had sparkled with both love and defiance whenever they argued. They had loved passionately, and perhaps too recklessly, until the weight of unmet expectations crushed them. The last time he had seen her was in the cold courtroom, her hand steady as she signed the papers. She hadn't shed a tear, at least not where he could see. But fate, in its peculiar cruelty or mercy, often chooses strange moments to reveal its secrets. When Daniel reached the corner cafe, he froze. Across the street, beneath the awning of a bookstore, stood Emily. For a moment he thought it was just his weary mind playing tricks. But it was her. Her hair, though tied in a loose bun, still carried the soft waves he used to run his fingers through. Her face looked more tired than he remembered, but it was unmistakably hers. And then his heart stopped. She wasn't just standing there. She was standing there pregnant, her hand gently resting on a belly that spoke of months of quiet growth. Daniel's throat went dry, his body rooted to the ground as if the earth itself refused to let him walk away. 8 months. Exactly 8 months. The timing pierced through him like lightning. When they had last spoken as husband and wife, she had told him something he had never fully processed. Emily had been pregnant then. But she had sworn she couldn't keep the baby, that it wasn't the right time, not in the chaos of their collapsing marriage. She had told him, with tears in her eyes, that she would have an abortion. The decision had devastated him, but he hadn't stopped her. Perhaps pride, perhaps exhaustion, perhaps fear had tied his tongue. Now, standing across the street, he realized the truth that shattered his very core: she had never gone through with it. The child she carried was his. Daniel didn't even remember crossing the street. His feet carried him until he was standing just a few feet away from her. Emily looked up, startled, as if caught in a secret she had carefully hidden from the world. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. For a moment, neither spoke, and the only sound between them was the rhythm of raindrops hitting the pavement. "Emily," Daniel whispered, his voice breaking under the weight of disbelief. You're. Her hand instinctively tightened over her stomach. She looked away, the shame, fear, and something else flickering in her eyes. "Yes," she said softly. "I'm pregnant." His chest tightened. "Why didn't you tell me? I thought you hated me enough already," she replied, her voice trembling. "And I thought I could do this alone. I didn't want to give you another reason to resent me." Resentment. That word twisted in Daniel's gut. Had he resented her? Or had he resented the way life had torn them apart? He wasn't even sure anymore. "But Emily," he struggled to breathe. "You told me, you said, you were going to." "I know," she cut in quickly, her eyes brimming with tears now. "I told you that because I was scared. Because I thought it would make things easier for you. For us. But when I went to the clinic, I couldn't do it. I couldn't take away something that was a part of both of us. I left without telling anyone. And then, everything between us ended so fast. I didn't know how to go back and say, 'Daniel, I'm still carrying our child.'" The words crashed into him, each one heavier than the last. His heart ached, not only from the truth but from the months of distance that had separated him from her and from the life now growing inside her. The cafe behind them buzzed with people, but Daniel and Emily stood in a world entirely their own. He wanted to hold her, to touch the child she carried, to erase the months of silence. But he also knew the gap between them was wide, built of anger, mistakes, and the shards of a broken marriage. "How far along?" he asked finally, his voice barely audible. 7 months, she whispered. 7 months. That meant she had been carrying their child almost from the day they had signed those papers. "Emily," he swallowed hard. "I should have been there. I should have known." Her tears spilled over now. "I didn't want to trap you, Daniel. You wanted freedom, you wanted peace. I couldn't give you either while carrying this baby. I thought I'd just raise it myself, quietly. You deserve your own life." Daniel shook his head. "No. What I deserve doesn't matter. What matters is this child. I don't care how broken we were. I should have fought harder. I should have asked more, listened more. Her sob was muffled, her hand covering her mouth as if to keep the world from hearing her pain. Daniel instinctively reached for her free hand, and though she hesitated, she didn't pull away. Her fingers trembled against his. They ended up sitting together in that little cafe, the rain outside blurring the windows. Daniel watched her closely, memorizing the curve of her stomach, the glow of motherhood that softened her features despite the sorrow in her eyes. He asked about doctor visits, about how she was managing. She told him about the nights of loneliness, the small kicks that had made her smile even when she cried, the quiet strength she had drawn from knowing she was carrying a piece of them both. "Do you hate me?" she asked suddenly, her voice fragile. Daniel looked at her, stunned. "Hate you? Emily, I've never hated you. I've hated the way things turned out. I've hated myself for letting you go. But you, no, never you." Her lips trembled. "Then why did you let me walk away?" "Because I was afraid," he wanted to say. "Because I thought love wasn't enough anymore. Because I thought giving you up was the only way to stop the fights." But now, sitting across from her, all those reasons felt shallow. "I don't know," he admitted. "I thought I was doing the right thing. But I see now, I was wrong." The days that followed weren't simple. Nothing about them was. Daniel began showing up. At doctor's appointments, at her door with groceries, at late nights when her back ached and she couldn't sleep. At first Emily resisted, afraid to let him in again. But gradually, the walls she had built began to crack. They talked, really talked, for the first time in years. About their fears, about how quickly they had let pride drown their love, about the mistakes that had left scars but not destroyed the bond completely. And in the middle of those conversations, the baby became the bridge they both walked across. When Emily finally went into labor, Daniel was there. He held her hand through every contraction, whispered encouragements when she screamed in pain, and cried openly when the cries of their newborn daughter filled the room. As he cradled the tiny bundle for the first time, Daniel realized the truth: their love hadn't died in the divorce papers. It had been waiting, quietly, patiently, in the heartbeat of the child they had made together. Emily looked at him, exhausted but radiant. "Her name?" she asked softly. Daniel smiled through his tears. "Hope," he whispered. "Because that's what she is. Hope for us. For everything we thought we lost." And Emily, her eyes glistening, nodded. For the first time in years, they didn't feel like two broken people standing apart. They felt like a family, fragile, mending, but together. 8 months after the divorce, Daniel had seen her pregnant. And in that moment, he had realized not just that she had never had the abortion, but that love, though battered, was still alive. Waiting to be born anew.